When should you quit your job? Is it right for you to quit your job to go full-time into business? Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be discussing everything that you need to know before you go and hand in your resignation letter and fire your boss to go full-time into business. Okay, I want to kick this video off with a little bit about me if you don't already know. I left my full-time job a long time ago now to pursue a career in business, and I've never looked back. I never wanted regret to bite me on the arse because I didn't make the jump. And at some point, you do have to make that decision of, is it right for me to quit? Should I be quitting? And have I set myself up for success rather than failure, which is also what we're going to cover off in this video. So if you are watching this and you're thinking, yeah, I'm thinking about quitting in maybe 2024, but I don't know what to consider, what to do, quite daunting, I'm a little bit fearful if it goes wrong, all normal feelings. Now, I just want to say, disclaimer, there is nothing wrong with employment, but I imagine if you're watching this video, it is because you are considering going into business and potentially quitting your job at some point because you have the same values as I do, which I'm going to run through some of them before I get into the bulk of this video. Okay, so a little bit about me and my childhood. You might be able to relate to some of this. If you do, then you probably are destined for entrepreneurship and going into business. From a young age, I always had a fire in my belly, outspoken, loud, confident, always thinking, coming up with solutions. I didn't like conforming to the norm. I didn't like being told what to do. I didn't like just accepting that this is the way that you do it and don't think outside the box. Just come in, do as you're told, and that's it. I didn't like the whole thing at school. Put your hands up, speak when spoken to. You've got to go to the toilet at this time. You can have your break at this time. You have to work with those two children. And then in the workplace, you have to be on this team. You have to work with them, even if you all don't get on. The whole calling up, I'm going to be late. Well, you've been late twice this week. I didn't like any of that. I don't like being told when I can have my dinner, when I've got to come back from the toilet, if I wanted to spend a couple of extra minutes in the toilet. I just didn't like conforming to this typical society of being told what to do, which I call sheep mentality. I like to think for myself. So again, key traits of entrepreneurs and business owners. Are you disciplined? Are you accountable? Are you good at ownership in your life? Are you self-reliant? Are you self-efficient? Do you think for yourself? Are you always coming up with ideas and thinking, we should do it this way, but you're never heard? Do you dislike all the politics that comes with the workplace? The poker game that you constantly have to play every single day? I didn't like any of it. So the only way for me to avoid that and get out of it is I had to build my own business, change the things that I didn't like, commit to it so eventually I could quit my job. But there are things that you need to consider beforehand. I want to dive into values. So I want to ask you, why do you want to go into business, and is it really right for you? Do you have the capabilities in your mindset? Because I'll tell you now, 80% mindset of running a business. Can you constantly evolve? Can you constantly self-educate? Not only self-educate, but can you take action? It's great learning things, but if you can't apply the things that you're learning, you'll become stagnant and you'll become outdated and your business will suffer. So understand, are you someone that can constantly evolve every quarter of every year and make changes in your business to make sure it's a success? Because the worst thing and the biggest fear for most people who are considering leaving their job and they delay it and they delay it and they delay it is because they think, what if it fails? And then you have to go back and get another job. Well, make sure that you're doing everything possible within yourself and your business to make sure it's not a failure. And one of those key traits is constantly evolving and self-educating. Always learn every single day and then implement new things into your business. One of my biggest values and one thing that I really love the most in my life is time freedom. I was always willing to take a smaller pay packet in exchange for more time with my family, loved ones, pursue passions, and building my business, which could eventually give me far more money than an employed role could ever do, climbing that corporate ladder very slowly, although I never wanted to promote because I used that time wisely to build my business, is time freedom. I want to choose who I spend time with. I want to choose where I spend my time. I don't want to be told that I've got to go to a location other than my home for 30, 40, 50 hours of every single week, 50 weeks of the year, for the next 40 years of my life to hopefully get a pension. That's not for me. That was not my game. I wanted to create something that was passive, digital, cash flowing, that bought me back loads of time. I was willing to be very disciplined, make sacrifices so that I made my business a success. But what do you need to consider? Okay, so I want to go through some checks here. Self-evaluation. What is your purpose? Why do you want to and truly go into business? What is your deep reason why? Have you come from no money? Do you want to provide for you and your family? Do you want to go on more holidays? Do you want more stability? Do you want to leave a great inheritance for your children so that they don't struggle in a world that is becoming harder, quite frankly, year after year after year? The only people that thrive and survive are the ones that evolve and are making more money. And you can do that through business. It's very hard to keep up with inflation and society and the economy as a whole through an employed role, which is why I say never become obsessed with your job title, because it's really hard to pivot when you've been given that ego rub of saying, well, you're a general manager. It's very hard to swap a general manager who's doing 60 hours and you paid 70 grand a year, 80 grand a year, to realize that you need to make a shift in your life, take a lower paid job as a shelf stacker where you gain back 30 hours during the week. It's very hard for someone to drop that title, to go to a lower title. Do not get caught up in the corporate traps and the puppet strings. So I wanted time freedom, financial stability, and in order to do that, I had to build a business. So again, what type of person are you? Do you have the key traits? Are you a problem solver, self-reliant? Are you accountable, disciplined, driven? Are you always thinking outside the box? Are you innovative? Do you have good people skills? Do you naturally take to selling? Do you have the gift of the gab? These are all things that you need to identify to make sure that your business is a success. Now, when is the right time to leave your job? Just before I give you the step-by-step process and the checklist, I'd love it if you'd hit that like button. Do leave me a comment on what you like about this video so far. And I would love it if you would go check out some of my other videos and be a loyal subscriber. I've got loads of these videos coming. So without further ado, let's go through the checklist. This is what I would do before you ever leave your job. Financial evaluation. Reduce your outgoings for the next 12 months and make some sacrifices. Sit down with your family, as I did, and said, look, in the next 12 months, I'm hoping to leave my job, but we need to prepare financially. Cut back on direct debits, outgoings, Netflix, Now TV, Adobe, Zoom, whatever you've got going out that you don't really need, cut back for the next 12 months. Then you start building a side hustle. Learn about side hustles, podcasts, YouTube. Start something, and what you want to do before you ever leave your job is you want to get your side hustle replacing your income. Absolute minimum. Or what you want to do is reduce your outgoings as much as you can, look at that new number, what you can live on, and get the side hustle to that new figure, which might be £1,000, £1,200, £1,500, £2,000. It's very, very realistic to get a side hustle, a startup business, to replace £2,000 a month within a 12-month period. Absolutely achievable. But again, as I said before in the video, evolve, self-educate, apply, learn, get around the right people, network as much as possible. This is what I would also have in the bank as a support, as a financial empowerment. I talk about this all the time. Have a minimum of 3 months emergency funds of all your outgoings. Absolute minimum 3 months. So whatever it costs you a month to pay all your expenses, all your bills, all your outgoings, have 3 months ready to go in an emergency fund as a safety net. Also, you want to have a minimum of £1,000 in a maintenance fund. Now, I calculate my maintenance fund. Now, what I'll do is I'll include above me the link for my maintenance and emergency fund video. But a maintenance fund essentially is a fund that could replace all of your white goods in your house. It could do the MOT. It could do 4 new tires on a car, because what you don't want to do is leave your job. You have to dip into your emergency funds and then the fridge goes and you have to get a brand new fridge. You've now had to use £650 out of your emergency fund, which has reduced now your living expenses from 3 months to now maybe a month and a half. So you have to separate those funds. Maintenance is purely for household problems, MOTs, miscellaneous payments. I would have a minimum of £1,000, but as a guideline, I would work out how much all of your white goods in your house cost and how much it costs for an MOT and 4 brand new tires on your car. That's the kind of number that you should have in a maintenance pot. Finally, I would have a minimum of £1,000 or at least a month's outgoing in what's called a floating fund, aka your thinking pot. So if you make an irrational decision and you quit your job a little bit earlier than what you were going to because you haven't lined up all your ducks, then the floating fund is going to give you a month breathing space before you eat into your emergency or maintenance fund. It's for you to go home and really think about the decision that you've made, and you've got a month to make that decision. Do you need to pivot and go get a part-time job? Do you perhaps try and get back your old job if you've walked out and you've told someone to F off and you've left the job? Or you've made a decision that was a bit hasty and you're sitting down with your partner and you're thinking, oh, I shouldn't have done that. You've got a month to think about it before you start dipping into the other pots. That's what I would have financially set up. And then really, is there a perfect time to quit your job? No. I was at a stage when I quit my job, I had enough cash flow coming in from my business. It exceeded and surpassed my full-time income. So I ticked that box and I had all these other pots ready to go. I had my emergency, I had my floating, I had my maintenance, and I had cash reserves. I set myself up financially as much as I could to make sure that when I left and I went full-time into my business, I made it the biggest success that I could so I didn't have to go back. My final tip would be as well, as a new entrepreneur or a business owner, ask for help. Don't go on this journey alone. Network as much as you can. When you leave your job, you will find there is this feeling of loneliness in the beginning. You will leave people around you. There might be less banter. You might not be talking to as many people. It's so important in the first 12 months of business, you put your hand up and you ask for help. I can tell you now, if you put your hand up and you ask me for help, I'll give it. There is an unwritten rule with entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs help other entrepreneurs. So ask for help. Don't go into business alone, because that is the quickest way to fail, is where you bury your head in the sand. You don't talk about the problems that you've hit that you didn't see coming. And then what happens is the business crashes quicker than you can believe. And then you have to go and get a job again. Put the hand up and say, do you know what? Business is pretty tough right now. I just need some advice. I just need some guidance. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Now, when you do come to quit your job, I would always say leave on good terms. You just want to keep that door available. You don't want to go out, calling everyone, every word under the sun if you don't get on. For me, it was always a case of, if I didn't make the jump, I knew that regret would bite me on the arse. I would hate to get to later in life and not have pursued passions, business, and fulfilled what I knew that I could have done. It's all about self-belief. So I hope that you have a great 2024. Please do reach out to me, leave me a comment, connect with me on Instagram. Is there ever a right time? No. But what you can do is you can go through that tick box, get yourself financially empowered, get your side hustle cash flowing, and then sit down with the people that you love, the people that are around you. Make sure that this is a decision that you make together, because that's the other thing where people go wrong. When you go into business, if you're in a partnership with a wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, it's not just you going into business, it's them as well. It takes a lot of hard work, but I promise you now, the grass, I believe, is greener on the side of business, because it offers time freedom, financial stability, remote working, so many possibilities, whereas you're very restricted in the employed world, and it comes with all the drama. I choose who I work with, where I work, when I want to work, how much I want to earn. All of that is the responsibility of me, and I absolutely love it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do like and subscribe. Again, I'm open to suggestions of videos. Just leave me a comment of what you would like to see. And until next time, I will see you all very soon.